Hello, good. Uh, Hello, everyone. This is Rahul Boyer. Welcome to my YouTube channel, AI with Rahul. And today we're gonna discuss about the another three basic data types in Python. Yesterday we have discussed about the first three data types that are integer, floats, and strings. Today we're gonna discuss about the Boolean, list, and tuples, and along with that, I guess I will also take the sets if that is required. This is a basic introduction that we are doing with the Python's data types. So let's begin our journey. The food data type, that is Boolean. What does Boolean means? Is basically Boolean is like a truth value. Ultimately we had to use a lot of conditionalities into Python. We had to control the flow, and to manage these kind of flows, to manage these kind of statements, we will have certain conditions in it. So let's assume that in your code, there are two conditions. Like first, if that condition is true, then you have to execute the A part of the code, or if that condition is false, then you have to execute the B part of that code. In such cases, we use the Boolean data type. So if, as just like another data type, we can store it in a variable. Let's take that is true. I'm calling a variable and giving it as a value called true. You can see, oh sorry, there is a typo. And if I now print is true value, you can see there is a true. The output will be true. So if I take the false value, there are only two data type. I mean two assigned values in case of Boolean data type. That is true and false. So if I consider if I consider as false, and if I print is false, it will give me as value as false. And if I print it as type of that data type is false, you can see it's a class bull. Basically it is giving us those the type of the class which we are I just now showed to you. So just always remember in Python that boolean will be, you have to use this boolean very extensively. We're gonna discuss how we're gonna use it in more or less way. I will give you a brief, I'm just giving you a brief introduction to this data type. We're going to discuss it more in the later series. So today I'm just going to give you a brief example. Let's assume that everybody knows, 2 is equals to 2, correct? So if I print this statement, it should give me true. You can see that. That's how we use this value, because it's trying to tell us ultimately that 2 is equal to 2 is a true condition. It's a truth statement. Let's assume that if I say 3, sorry, equals to 2. Yeah, it's a false, because we know that 3 is not equal to false. The same way, if I give it, something like Rahul is equals to Rahul, it will give me true. But if I take this as, like it is comparing the values between strings as well. So if I give as Rahul is equals to India, it will give us, because those both the strings are not true. We can use this in such a way. In the same way, we can use it with the help of logical operators as well. Let's assume that there is a true value and true value. Okay, it will give us true value, because as you know, like if both the values are true and there is an and operator, it has to give us a true response. That's how we have learned it in a Boolean algebra. If I have a true value or true value, it will give us again true value if any of the condition is true in case of or, Eventually, it will give us true. Let's take now true and false. It will give us a false value because in case of and, either you want both the truths to be true or both the false to be false. So that to get the true condition. One more thing, there is a if I say false, this condition will be also true. That's how Boolean algebra works. Ultimately it is getting the false and false will be false because in our case both the values are false and ultimately we are getting the output as false. And if I put false and true, it should give us false because we in case of false we want both the condition to be true or either false. If I put or, then it will give us value as true. You can see over here. That's because in case of or, either of the condition from both of the conditions should be true. So that's how we can use with the help of we can use the Boolean operator in case of logical operator with the logical operators as well. So yeah, that's about the Boolean data types. I'm going to cover it, how we can use its practical implementation later. Just to give you a brief, concise idea about what is exactly this Boolean data type is. Then we have list. List is just imagine list is like a variable which is storing, group of something. Group of something means some objects into it. There are, uh, in case of programming language, any programming language, ultimately we have to store numbers more than one. We have to store strings more than one. We have to store a lot of such objects which might be more than one. So in this kind of scenario, Python have the list, just like a Java programming language have array as one of the concept. So list, we can initialize a list. It is initialized, let's say list one. If I give it as, let's take it square, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. And if I try to print this list, we'll get this array of 1 to 10 elements. And ultimately, if I try to check type of list 1, we will get it as list over here. And if I try to check the length is also one of the keyword in the Python which we are used to check the length of how many values are stored in particular variable. So if I give you over here, you can see it's string. So we can initialize list. We can, there are a lot of operations that we can do in list. Eventually, I'm gonna take all those comprehensive operations in a separate lecture. But at the moment, you just have to remind only one thing: list works like a container. We can store anything into it. Like let's say I had to store maybe a strings, a combined strings, integer, then float, and boolean. I can do all of that. So all combined, I will initialize one of the variable. Okay, I'll put it over here. 112. That's a number. Sorry, that's a string actually because I put it into the quotes. Let's assume that's India. And there is a true value. Then there is a float as well. So I can print this all combined. I can simply print the type of all combined. You can see we have 12 India and it's a list. I check the length of this list. It will give me 4 because there are 4 elements. In such a way, we can modify the list, we can append the list, we can remove the data out of the list. And we can do a lot of such operations. Okay, I'm gonna explain you later more onto the list. Then we have another data type called tuple. Tuple is just like a list. The only difference with the list and tuple is that we get once we created the tuple, We just really cannot modify it. All this present status of the element in whichever the positions will be staying out there. So I will initialize in our tuple one. There will be a lot of case scenarios where you want to really store the elements, and you do not really want to modify the positions. In such case, we use the tuples. So let's take one, two, three, and if you are to initialize the tuple, they should be in a parenthesis. That's a round bracket, as we call it. And if I now print that tuple, yeah, you can see over here, you are getting that list. So the basic difference between list and tuple is that in list we are initializing that variable in a square bracket, but in case of tuple, we are initializing it in a round braces. The concept here between the list and tuple is this keyword is that we can modify, we can play around with the list, but in case of tuple, we just cannot do that. I will explain you in the later sections why what I'm trying to say. But right now, you just need to understand only this thing. Ultimately, just like the list, we can store the different data types into it. Let's try to see this one. Tuple two. I will put another different type of element into it. 12. Then we have India. Then we have false. 77.590. 8. Tuple two. You can see. Yeah, that there are four elements, and if I now check the length of this tuple, it should give me as a 4. If I check the type of this variable, it will give me as a tuple. You can see. So yeah, that's another data type we just have to cover. We will have more discussion onto this thing. Then we have another data type called sets. What does it mean by to be set? Set is also container, just like list and tuple. We have to initialize that set in a curly braces. So what is it about set? Set is just like a list, but in case of list, and what is the major difference between list and set? Is that in case of list, once we initialize the element, we have the control on the position of those elements. Over here I have initialized the list. I know this two is on the second position. In the case of three, I know it's on the third position. Over here also, I know the true value is on the third position. In case of sets, once we initialize that variable, that the places this values which is going to assign to this variable will will uh, will be randomized. Those places will be placed onto the random positions. We do not have really control onto the positions. That's the first thing. And second is we are not duplicating the data. In our case, in case of list, we can have multiple duplicating data into that container. But in case of set, we cannot do that. So I will initialize one. Let's take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now if I print the set one, not necessarily that order gonna is be retained. Yeah, right now it's retaining, but I'm trying to say is that not necessarily always return. Let's take the example of now into the next one. So first I will have to print the type of this. If I go anywhere, yeah, let's take this one up, put it over here. You can see its type is set. And now what I will do, I will try to repeat the values, just to give you just to let you know what I'm trying to tell you. Also, if I check the length of this set one, it has to show me 10. Okay, the type is 10, and length is also get that. Then, okay, I will just for the sake of it, I will remove it. Yeah, so length is actually set 1. So if what I'm gonna do, I'll just put the repetitive values. Let's assume that there is a two, there is a two, there is a three, there is a. I will remove the 8, 7, 6, 5. Then I will repeat 5, and then let's take the example 10. So in case of list, first will see this one. Then the type also I'll print the type as well. Set one. Then I'll print the length as well. Just to get all of this thing in one go. Now, if you try to see, it is expected. You might feel like the length should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Correct. That's not gonna happen in the case of sets. In case of sets, all the duplicate values will be considered as one. So if I have one, it will check whether I am gonna do have another one. It is not the five, one, two. Over here you can see there are two twos. We will treat it is gonna only take one two. So this will be treated as only single two. Then there is a three. Basically, all I'm trying to say is that set contains only unique values. Now I'll show you what I'm exactly trying to say. You can see that it has removed all those duplicated values and has just given us a list of unique values. And you can see if I try to see the length of that set, it's basically 7 against 11. Now what I will do, just try to compare it with the dictionary. If I take this one, I put it into the square bracket, as expected, it should give me a value of 11. You can see that it has not removed the duplicated. So I put it initialize. You can see it's a class is a list, and it has given me the length of 11. So yeah, we have covered the another four data types, basic data types today. Everyone must have to know about it if somebody wants to be a Python programmer for that matter, and any field related with software development. And these are the basic concepts that we're going to require later. I'm going to take each of these data types and their methods, everything in the later part of the course. So that is all for today. Thank you guys. Keep watching, keep subscribing, keep liking. See you all. Bye.